Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Well, hello, my friends. It's Lynda Lippin here. It is December 30th. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve 2023, and then we are right into 2024. So welcome to the final episode of 2023 on the Pilates Goddess podcast. In this episode, I'm going to recap a little bit of 2023, how the podcast went, what's going on in my own Pilates business, what's going on in my own existence and my life. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in 2024, because my focus is shifting a little bit, and I think it's shifting in a way that is appropriate to the Pilates space now, because a lot has changed in 2023. It's been a little crazy. So let's just start with my own personal update. Okay, 2023 was a very interesting year for me. 2023 did not start out so great. I'm going to be very honest with you. At the end of 2022, I had torn my left meniscus. I was in a ridiculous amount of pain, but wasn't sure yet if it was the meniscus or not. In addition to that, when I had torn my meniscus, I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't feeling great. I had cut my hours. I wasn't working so much. I wasn't back in the studio yet and was in too much pain to consider going back into the studio. And my income dropped. And it dropped, and I kind of didn't deal with it. I think many of you may have gone through something like this, but I came out of it. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and what I did to get out of that. So at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, I was behind on my apartment rent. And I have been in my apartment for over 12 years. It's the apartment we moved into when we moved back to New York City. And it's rent stabilized, which is a very important thing here in New York City. So my landlord actually sued me for back rent, facing eviction. Like, it was pretty fucking stressful. And I managed to go into court with my landlord the week after Thanksgiving, literally. And I think it was the day after Thanksgiving, frankly. And I negotiated a 12-month repayment plan with my landlord. Now, understand that when you are in housing court, most landlords are looking for a repayment plan of 3 to 6 months at the outside. New York City does offer a loan program for folks like me, in that position, which is called the one-shot deal, which is a 12-month repayment with the risk of eviction if you don't make a payment. So essentially, my building's landlord's lawyers gave me the same deal that the city would have given me with a 12-month repayment. And I was thrilled for that. So I am no longer in housing court, and I now have a plan to repay the back rent, and we are good to go with that. But needless to say, that was a lot of my 2023 was dealing with that. Also, my husband, who had been retired, went back to work. He's working at Wegmans, which is just such a fabulous company to work for. And that's now taking care of our health insurance, our dental, our 401k, and all of that stuff, our FSA, our, transit benefits, all of that. So I am super thrilled. Fabulous company to work for. And I have gone back into the studio as a master teacher at Bombshell Pilates, where I am also starting next Sunday teaching classes, teaching a class specifically for Pilates instructors. And that class is open to both live and virtual attendance. We're going to start out with just mat, but probably move towards the apparatus as we move forward. So if you've been interested in taking a teacher-focused mat class with me, register at Bombshell. Okay, and I will put links to everything, of course, in the show notes. So basically in 2023, I went through knee surgery. I went through, in the process of doing the test for my knee surgery, we discovered that I have a ridiculous amount of arthritis, my hips, my knees, kind of everywhere. Thank you, Joseph Pilates, for creating a system that held me together and keeps me functional. So I kind of made it through that financial situation. Obviously, that caused some discord in my house. My husband and I made it through that. We've been together for 30 years. We've been through a lot of shit together. So this, took a little bit longer and was a little bit more involved in sort of getting back together, for the good of the realm, as I like to say. And that's not for me. I heard that on Glennon and Amanda and on We Can Do Hard Things with Glennon, Abby, and Amanda. I can't believe I spaced out on Abby Wabach's name. So for the good of the realm, we got our shit together and started moving forward. I'm also seeing clients live in the studio under, my own Lynda Lippin Pilates, both in Soho and at Bombshell. So I'm kind of back in it. I'm back at it, and am really happy with that. In terms of personal pain, the other thing that happened was my husband and I both got COVID. I believe it was the Omicron back in October. And while my husband seems to actually be okay after that, I personally am now having long COVID, of course. And my long COVID symptoms are an exacerbation of full body pain in all of my joints and all of my muscles. So I am currently on a lot of pain medication. We're figuring out the dosing of the pain medication that works for me so that I can do things in my day. I am still doing Pilates. I'm still doing cardio. I'm still doing strength training. Literally, exercise is the only thing that's helping me hold my shit together right now. I said to my husband the other day that if I didn't exercise, I think I would be using a cane or a walker at this point. Because there are some days when I have to think about standing up because my joints don't feel like they can do it, but my muscles are strong enough to kind of carry me through. And I work mobility and flexibility religiously. Now, my flexibility, my mobility is not as great as it used to be. That's where I'm really seeing the arthritis. So I'm probably working a little bit more strength now, but again, I kind of need that just to get up. So my rheumatologist is working with me. The problem, of course, with long COVID is that nobody knows a fucking thing, right? So, they don't know how long this is going to last. They don't really know what medications are going to work, and we're just kind of hoping for the best. I am trying a supplement regimen that I hate to be doing because it comes from the physicians who are anti-vaccine. And I am so pro-vaccine that it's ridiculous. Frankly, I took Paxlovid and, COVID sucked. but I can't imagine how it would have felt in my body if my body wasn't somewhat familiar with it from all of the vaccines. Now, I am feeling better. My energy is a little bit better. It's a little more steady throughout the day. And now I'm feeling like 2024 can really be a year where I'm really back and really serving instead of kind of maintaining what I have. Okay. In 2023, it took so much energy for me to kind of figure out finances, to grow the business, to get back into a studio, to work with my clients, to maintain my marriage, to do all of that and deal with all this financial stuff that I wasn't probably focusing here on the podcast and on Pilates Teacher Mastermind and Lynda Lippin Pilates as much as I could have been. But 2024 is going to be a little bit different. All right. I also noticed in 2023, just based on what I see in Pilates forums, that frankly, there's just a lot of shit teacher training out there right now. There's just a lot of crap out there right now. And I'm going to be very honest with you that I am really feeling called right now to produce some content and some programs and some trainings for people who want to enter a Pilates teacher training program and for newly certified teachers who haven't had a lot of apprentice time, who haven't learned at all how to work with special populations, who only know some of the apparatus and not all of it, so they don't have a sense of Pilates as a system and how it works as a system. I feel like those teachers really need some support. Now, I will continue as always, in Pilates Teacher Mastermind to support teachers who have been teaching for a long time. As you know, I've been teaching now for 36 years. So I have some insight into being able to stay successful, raise your prices, have different offerings. I mean, look, I just told you how shitty my 2023 was based on shit that had happened in 2021 and 2022, right? That brought me into that back rent situation and housing court and all of that in 2023, right? But then I got my shit together. And that's what I want to kind of say to you guys is you guys, whatever is going on in your business, in your Pilates training, in your life, you can get through it. And part of the way through it is mentorship and community. Mentorship and community. Saying it again, mentorship and community. And that's what I offer in Pilates Teacher Mastermind VIP. Okay. I love that program and I am rebuilding that program now. But there's also going to be, again, a few other things coming out under the Pilates Teacher Mastermind moniker because I have some programs up my sleeve coming out in early 2024 for you new teachers who aren't feeling that you have all of the knowledge and support that you really need to teach humans exercise and how to move. I would like to kind of help you out with that. Now, you know, my orientation primarily is classical Pilates. It's over 36 years in teaching a lot of the contemporary stuff and working on different kinds of equipment and doing a lot of adjustable things. I have come back home to classical Pilates because, frankly, it works faster and better. I'm letting you know, it works faster and better than the other modalities. It simply does. I have seen it. I have watched it. And I have like several women in my Strong Bones Pilates online program, which, is all for bone strength, and mobility and stability and fall prevention and all of those things, that I have a woman in there who goes to Club Pilates, but then she comes and still does her work with me. So I am not averse to that. And I just want you guys to know that. So there's also something very exciting coming up. And what's going to be coming up is a private podcast for Pilates teachers. Okay. It will be under the Pilates Goddess podcast moniker, but it will be simply for Pilates teachers. And in 2024, I will be breaking down the reformer exercises very deeply. And then we'll move on to the other pieces of equipment in the studio. There will be a small charge for the private podcast. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but it's literally going to be like $9 a month. It's going to be something really, really cheap. So that you guys who want that specificity will get that. If you go ahead and listen to the mat breakdown that I did for the end of 2023, you'll have an idea of how I go about that and what my breakdown of the other pieces of equipment might look like. So if you're a Pilates teacher and that's something you're interested in, look for announcements here in the podcast. But I also recommend that you go over to LyndaLippin.com or PilatesGoddess.com and get yourself on my email list, because I announce a lot of stuff through my email list. You can also follow me on all the social medias because I do announcements there as well. I also want to talk a little bit about what's happening kind of in the news and in the world of Pilates right now that might be of interest to you here at the end of 2023. It looks like there's going to be a lawsuit brewing against Exponential Fitness, which is the parent company of Club Pilates. They also own a number of other chains. As I suspect it might happen, there does come a point of kind of market cap. There does come a point of saturation where if you're opening a new studio, you're not necessarily going to get the clientele that you need. Remember, when you open a franchise, like all of the Exponential Fitness offerings, you are paying franchise fees. You're also paying, your usual rent, business licenses. You're paying for the equipment. You're paying for your staff, for your managers, your teachers. And what happens is sometimes, like a suburban housewife who loves a workout and has the money will go and open the studio. And a lot of them failed and ended up in bankruptcy due to not having enough clients and not having enough support to run the studio. So that's one thing that is happening. By the same token, Exponential is expanding Club Pilates like all over the world right now on cruise ships and other things. And they're still doing their own teacher training program, which, I know like the head, I know they're master trainers. They are good trainers. They've come out of other Pilates programs, but I'm starting to see kind of a devolution where folks are not being taught modifications. They're not being taught really how to deal with different levels in their classes and how to move people through different levels in safe and effective ways. Classical Pilates, oddly enough, seemed to really grow this year, which I was very excited about. And some of that growth inadvertently had to do with, yes, another lawsuit on the classical Pilates horizon, where Sean Gallagher is yet again, suing a woman in the Pilates space um, for sharing images and photos that Sean purchased when he bought the Pilates estate. So now what Sean is saying is that he has the rights to those photos. So if people are posting them online, they are wrong and going, against his trademark. So that suit's moving forward. That's in process now, and we'll see what happens with that. It's kind of an important one, due to his, just historical trademark law, right? So that's something, again, that's happening. But in a way, that's been good because it's making people look a little bit closer at classical versus contemporary Pilates. I also kind of see the classical and contemporary Pilates worlds diverging more and more, and that I think is bad. That I think is bad for us in the world of Pilates. As you know, I work with clients and teachers from any background or no background. Not so much with teachers are going to have some kind of background. And it's so important to me to create inclusive spaces where we can really argue and debate and talk about the differences between the two and then come to a meeting point. My interest, just so you guys know, whether you're a doer of Pilates or a teacher of Pilates, my interest is simply in everybody having a good business, feeling good about what they're doing, and feeling better. I want all the clients who do Pilates to simply feel better in their bodies and their minds. I want Pilates teachers to also feel better, gain confidence, and gain knowledge that if they're classical teachers, that there are some contemporary variations and modifications that are really useful that you can use on the Gratz equipment. And I, in fact, have a workshop online within the Pilates Teacher Mastermind VIP program just about that. That's literally about variations and modifications from contemporary Pilates that can work on classical equipment and in a classical studio. So my interest is always bringing us together, okay? Bringing us together. You may hear me disparage different training programs. You may hear me disparage sometimes different businesses and what's going on in the Pilates world. But at the end of the day, I look at all of this kind of moving away from the core of what Joe Pilates taught as really problematic. And I feel like if we can all just come together and just agree that, we're teaching something that somebody created and maybe we should know what they created before we move forward and change it. That's all I'm saying. I used to be a philosophy and women's studies professor, and when you're in grad school for like a PhD in philosophy, you in fact have to sit down and take these preliminary exams. And these prelim exams, no matter what you specialize in terms of your philosophy, work, you have to take these prelim exams. And we used to have to take them with the blue books. And it's literally like what looks like 4 very simple questions that, turn into 10-page papers. And you have like many hours to sit there and take this exam. And the exam is back to the history of philosophy, starting with the pre-Socratics and moving right through into contemporary theory. So, even there, no matter, you could be specializing in lots of contemporary deconstructionism and all kinds of things. but you still have to prove that you know the background material. Partly because, you're teaching the background material, right? You're teaching intro to philosophy, you're teaching other things. What I'm finding now is that we have a lot of teacher training programs that unfortunately for the teachers that are graduating, are not teaching that core basic stuff from the background of Joseph Pilates, that would allow, I think, their Pilates teachers to be a lot more confident and to be able to engage in discussions with other teachers online, with understanding. So if you are interested in Pilates Teacher Mastermind VIP, once again, you're going to check the links in the show notes. And if you can add yourself to my email list, and I'll put a link to that also in the show notes, you will be updated on the program and on the new teacher trainer and pre-teacher training material that I have coming out. Regarding Strong Bones Pilates, which is my online class for bone strength and osteoporosis, those classes run Monday through Thursday. There's 4 classes a week. They're approximately 30 to 45 minutes. Right now, they're at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with the recordings available online. So, if you are a person with lower bone density, or you are a Pilates teacher who wants to learn more about working with that population, I really recommend that you go to strongbonespilates.com and look at the offerings, or just go to LyndaLippinPilates.com and click on Women 50 Plus, and you'll see what I have going on there. So I'm really looking forward to a better 2024. Like I said, we've got our income situation fixed. I've got my landlord agreement, thank God, fixed. And by the way, the judge was like, I can't believe you got a 12-month agreement. But, I've been in my apartment for a while, and my landlord was cool with that. I am moving forward into newer programs to take care of you newer Pilates teachers, as opposed to the people who have been teaching for at least 5 years and have other concerns. And I'm going to be serving more live and in the studio, with classes for both teachers and consumers. So there you have it, my friends. 2024 is going to be a great year for all of us. I'm going to help support you through all of it. I am kind of out of my own kind of personal hell, other than dealing with the long COVID, which I am. And I think I mentioned that I was doing this little supplement regimen, and it involves nattokinase, bromelain, and liposomal turmeric or liposomal curcumin. And it really does seem to be helping me feel better. And all of them you can buy really inexpensively. So if you also are suffering with long COVID, just do a search for long COVID nattokinase, nattokinase, and you will see what that protocol is. It's very simple. Again, not very expensive. Nothing in this protocol interacts with a lot of other things or causes a lot of side effects. So basically, I was like, fuck it, if it helps, great. And it actually does seem to be helping. So, as you know, I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm not going to put a link there because, again, these protocols are put out by a lot of anti-vaccine people. And I don't like that. So I'm not going to promote that work, but I'm just letting you know what I personally am doing right now. In 2024, you are also going to be seeing a little bit more push from me to work with some of the folks who have helped me feel and function better in 2023. Okay. One of those is the faster way to fat loss. If you have known me for a very long time, you know that I was a beta coach for faster way to fat loss. I've been involved with that program for about, 6 or 7 years, as long as it's been around. And this year I realized that I needed my strength training, my cardio, and all of that back. And so I am back with faster way to fat loss. And I have to tell you, just since doing those workouts, I'm so much better. I'm so much stronger. I've, not that I'm in it for weight loss right now, but I have lost like 5 pounds over the past few months. And again, that's not even trying for weight loss, but my energy is better. My clothes are fitting better, and I'm definitely a fuck of a lot stronger. So yay for faster way. You're also going to see me doing a little push for my friend Liz Wilcox, who I've interviewed here on the podcast, who runs a $9 a month email marketing membership that is absolutely brilliant. And if you get my emails, you're basically seeing edited versions of what she puts out to help. And finally, I work with a woman named Emily Aarons, who is a kind of woo-woo spiritual coach, but her work is brilliant. And she has a karma cleanse coming up that's starting January 1. And I've got a half price coupon for that. And I'm going to be putting that half price coupon in the show notes, because I started working with Emily after doing the karma cleanse, because I saw how she showed up and how she was there for this inexpensive program. Okay. And then finally, you are going to see some free or inexpensive trainings coming up from me online in both Strong Bones Pilates and Pilates Teacher Mastermind. These free and low cost trainings will be similar to the ones that I used to do, but of course, they will have a different focus. I really can't wait. I just can't wait. I am like bursting with stuff right now that I want to give out to my Pilates clients, to my Pilates teachers, to everybody. And I am looking forward to an awesome 2024 for all of us. So as always, I love you guys. You know that. And I will be here with you. I've got a lot of great interviews coming up, a lot of great episodes coming up in 2024. We'll be learning about all kinds of interesting stuff. And we'll also have some of the 2022 and 2023 guests popping back on to have some more discussions. If you love the show, the best thing you can do to help me out is to like the show, subscribe to the show, and rate the show. And if you can, leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Sharing the show helps more people find the podcast. Liking the show helps more people find the podcast. And writing a written review definitely helps more people find the podcast. So for those of you who have already done it, thank you, thank you. And I'm also pre-thanking you if you're going to go do that right now. And I will see you in the new year. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.